Welcome to the Bay. All right, today we are tackling a question that every PC builder faces at some point. Do you go for last-gen power or new-gen smarts? In one corner, you've got the Radeon RX 7900 XT, a tried-and-true heavyweight champ. And in the other, the slick new challenger, the Radeon RX 9070 XT. This is going to be a real battle for 1440p supremacy.
So here's the fundamental choice, right? Is it smarter to bet on the RX 7900 XT, a card with just tons of raw memory and bandwidth, that's the last-gen brawn, or do you go with the RX 9070 XT, which is built on a newer, more efficient architecture, and it's just packed with all the latest features? Let's figure it out.
Okay, let's start where it matters most for so many of us gamers, pure, unadulterated frames per second. This is round one, the raw performance test. We're looking at pure rasterization here, so no upscaling, no ray tracing, just a straight-up fight to see who can pump out the highest numbers at 1440p.
And would you look at that, the race is incredibly close. These two cards are just trading blows. You see in Cyberpunk, the 7900 XT, it just barely squeaks out a win. But then in Warzone, Starfield, and especially in those big esports titles like Fortnite and Valorant, the newer 9070 XT pulls slightly ahead. The leads are tiny, which just goes to show how competitive this matchup is right out of the gate.
Now, when you average it all out, the difference becomes almost meaningless. I mean, we're talking about a gap of just a few frames per second. Honestly, at 1440p, in pure rasterization, you would be seriously hard-pressed to tell these two cards apart in a blind test. It's basically a statistical tie.
So round one, it ends in a draw, a dead heat. If all you're looking at are raw frame rates for 1440p gaming, this is one of the closest fights you are ever going to find. To find a real winner, we've got to look deeper. We have to go beyond just the frames.
All right, moving on to round two. Let's compare the brains behind the operation, the architecture itself. We're pitting the RDNA 3 muscle of the 7900 XT against the RDNA 4 smarts of the 9070 XT. We're going to look at things like VRAM, the memory bus, and of course, the big one, ray tracing.
So, on paper, the 7900 XT looks like an absolute beast, right? It's got a massive 20 gigs of VRAM and a super wide 320-bit memory bus. That's just brute force designed for chewing through high resolutions. But the 9070 XT fights back with its smarter, more advanced RDNA 4 design. Yeah, it has less VRAM and a narrower bus, but that newer architecture gives it a clear leg up in demanding features like ray tracing, which you can see right there in that star.
So what exactly makes RDNA 4 smarter? Well, think of the improved RT and AI accelerators like having specialized workers on an assembly line. They just handle complex lighting and AI tasks way faster. It's also much more efficient, squeezing more performance out of every single watt of power you feed it. Plus, you get access to all the latest software goodies like FSR and HyperX. All of this just makes it the more modern and, frankly, more future-proof GPU.
So for round two, we have a clear winner. While that VRAM on the 7900 XT is definitely impressive, the architectural improvements, the superior ray tracing, and that modern feature set of the RX 9070 XT, it all gives it a decisive edge. It's just the smarter, more advanced card.
And that brings us to our final round, and let's be real, this is often the one that matters most when you're planning a build, price and value. After a dead heat on performance and a clear win for the 9070 XT on features, could this be the round that delivers the knockout punch?
And yep, here's where the difference becomes really stark. At launch, the RX 7900 XT is typically going to cost you around $800, while the RX 9070 XT hits the market at a much more wallet-friendly $600. That's a huge $200 difference right out of the gate.
Now this is the killer metric. When we actually calculate the performance you get for every single dollar you spend, the RX 9070 XT is just in a completely different league. It delivers a value of 0.42 frames per dollar, and that absolutely crushes the 7900 XT score of 0.30. It just means you're getting substantially more gaming power for your money.
The verdict for round three is, well, undeniable. The Radeon RX 9070 XT is the undisputed champion of value at its launch price. It offers almost identical rasterization performance and better features for $200 less. That's a massive win.
So with the scores all tallied up, it's time for the final verdict. But, the best card isn't really a one-size-fits-all answer. It's all about matching the hardware to the builder. So let's break down which of these GPUs is actually the right fit for you. First up, let's think about a very specific type of gamer.
Do you mostly play single-player games at 4K resolution? And are you the kind of person who loves to install gigantic texture packs and push mods to their absolute breaking point?
If that sounds like you, then the Radeon RX 7900 XT is your card, my friend. That massive 20GB VRAM buffer and that super wide memory bus are built for exactly these kinds of insane workloads. For heavily modded games at 4K, that extra memory can be a total game changer, especially if you can find one on sale.
But what if your profile is a little different? Maybe you're aiming for crazy high frame rates on a 1440p monitor, and maybe you actually want to turn on those beautiful ray trace reflections and shadows in the latest games without just killing your performance.
For this user, and let's be honest, this is a huge chunk of the PC gaming market, the Radeon RX 9070 XT is the perfect fit. It delivers incredible performance for those high-refresh 1440p displays, it has the better ray tracing chops, and it offers all of that at a better value and with greater efficiency. It's the modern choice for the modern gamer.
And for our last profile, what if you're a value-conscious builder? You want to get the absolute most performance for your money, and you don't want to pay that premium for a top-of-the-line flagship card. Well, once again, the answer is the Radeon RX 9070 XT. Its lower price point means you can put more of your budget into other parts of your build, like your CPU or storage. It still gives you a great 4K experience with upscaling like FSR, and you get a taste of that high-end performance without the high-end price tag. It is simply the smart, balanced choice.
Ultimately, this choice really does come down to you and what you need. If you want the full benchmark suite, a really detailed analysis, and a ton more head-to-head hardware comparisons, go check out the source for this whole explainer over at bestgpusforgaming.com.
And that really brings us to the core lesson of this entire showdown. The quote says it all. The best GPU is never an absolute. As the experts say, it always comes down to your personal budget and what resolution you're actually planning to play at. Which leaves us with one final thought to kind of chew on. In this ridiculously fast-paced, constantly evolving world of PC parts, what's the better strategy? Do you buy the proven, raw power that's available today, or do you bet on the newer, smarter, more efficient technology that's built for tomorrow? The answer, as always, is in your build.
Thanks for dropping by the Bay for this one. Until next time, keep it cool and keep building.